SB. Joining me now is the Resources Minister, Josh Frydenberg, from Melbourne this afternoon. Minister Frydenberg, thanks so much for your time. First of all, can I ask you about Labor's announcement today on the back of their 10-year economic plan? It's, backed in now what it did previously oppose from budget measures in 2014, saves $3 billion to the budget bottom line, and it's about $12 billion over 10 years. You'd welcome that, wouldn't you?
Well, Laura, it's no wonder that Chris Bowen and Bill Shorten have dropped this announcement late on Friday afternoon, because it's a drop in the ocean in terms of what is needed for the Labor Party to have economic credibility in this election. The Labor Party spent $16 billion alone in various commitments during this campaign, and as Scott Morrison said today, this is $2.4 billion worth of savings over the forward estimates. It's very, very modest indeed, and it doesn't give Labor any economic credibility, which they are craving for and they need, given their massive tax and spend commitments.
Okay, but they have outlined some savings today, not easy savings as well. It could be argued that some of this affects their base. One measure in particular piqued my interest. This is halting the private health insurance rebate for natural therapies, $2.3 billion over 4 years. Why should the taxpayer be subsidising things like Pilates? Surely this is something that the government agrees with winding back.
Look, I'm not going to pick and choose from Labor's announcement today. Our savings are in the budget. They're costed, they're funded. They take us from a deficit of $37 billion this year to $6 billion over the forward estimates. We've dramatically reduced the rate of spending increases that we inherited from Labor. And I mean, don't forget, this is Labor's debt and deficit that we're trying to deal with. But today's smoke and mirrors announcement from the Labor Party, Laura, and their talk about 10-year budget forecasts and the like, just is all determined and all designed to get you to forget that they have committed to more debt and deficit over the next 4 years for Australia, and that's what they have to be accountable for. And today's announcement goes nowhere near what is actually required to improve Australia's economic performance.
Sure, but on some of these measures, would the government rule out supporting them altogether? I mean, that, for one, would seem like something sensible. Would you at least look at it?
Look, our priorities, our saving commitments, our spending commitments, all of that is in our budget, and that is there for all to see. But today's announcement by Labor does give a bit of an insight into their priorities, because I see they're ripping money out of the Colombo Plan. Now, the Colombo Plan is a fantastic initiative of Julie Bishop's, designed to send young Australians to study and to work in the region and to get an better understanding of Asia. I see they're ripping money out of the growth centres.
Just one more question on this, Minister. Labor has finally, albeit very belatedly, backed in some of the government's measures from the 2014 budget. Are you ruling out backing in any of these suggestions from Labor? $2.4 billion over 4 years. It's not a huge saving, but it's not nothing.
Well, as I said, our savings and our spending commitments are locked in the budget. That's there for all to see. You know, Labor's smoke and mirrors announcement does nothing to bring any economic credibility to the table, and it has shown an insight into some of their priorities. As I said, ripping money away from students to go and study in Asia, and ripping money away from industry growth centres, which are designed to boost innovation and industry collaboration. So we're not about to jump on Labor's bandwagon when it's them who have actually promoted more debt and deficit in the years ahead than is required for the country.
What about the cut for small or business over the next 10 years? The government hasn't really outlined how that will be paid for. Will we start to see some offsets?
Well, actually, it is outlined in the budget, $48.2 billion over the 10 years costed, and part of the underlying cash balance projections in the out years, and all within the envelope of tax to GDP, as has been outlined by Treasurer Scott Morrison today. So that is actually there as a budget measure. It's actually costed, and we won't indulge the fantasy of the Labor Party with their 10. Well, what we've done in terms of that in terms of that measure, reducing company tax, is actually ensure that it's not only costed, but that it fits in within the parameters of our tax to GDP ratios, as well as the fact that it's considered as part of our budget projections. And the Labor Party is focusing on 10 years because they know that their debt and deficit increases over the next 4 years. Now, they said today that they're worried about AAA credit ratings. Well, we can tell you that the ratings agencies are actually focused over the next 4 years. I mean, over 10 years, Laura, so many things can change. The Australian dollar rates can change. The commodity prices can change. Interest rates can change. Wages growth can change. All those factors will impact upon the projections. So, we've costed our proposals, and as you know about this whole debate over company tax, for every dollar we're told by Treasury that you cut in company tax, you're actually creating $4 worth of economic output. So the Labor Party has no credibility with business, and we've seen that in revelations today from COSBOA. But, I mean, the Labor Party fails to understand that if you cut tax, you're going to grow the economy. If you increase spending and you allow the deficit and the debt to increase, then that means more money is spent on the interest bill on the debt that Labor left us, when that money could otherwise go to important services like health and education.
Just on COSBOA, it wouldn't have escaped your attention that COSBOA has criticised Labor today for being anti-small business. This is really the peak small business lobby group. Are you really backing in COSBOA, though, because it is suggesting the Greens have better credentials? Do you really want people voting for the Greens rather than Labor?
I don't want people voting for the Greens, and it's a very poor choice if you're looking at voting for either the Greens or the Labor Party. I want them to vote for the coalition across the country. But what COSBOA has highlighted today is how the Labor Party under Bill Shorten has regressed when it comes to supporting small business. Now, we're all familiar with the company tax cuts that Labor is opposing for small business. I mean, businesses that may have a turnover between $2 million and $10 million, might be a busy cafe or restaurant with 5 or 6 staff. They won't get a tax cut under the Labor Party.
Sorry to interrupt. Isn't it true that the tax cut, which Labor is backing in for small business up to $2 million, actually covers 83% of businesses in Australia?
Well, there are more than 100,000 businesses in Australia that have turnovers between $2 and $10 million, and they employ, so many Australians, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of Australians. So that is a tax cut for businesses that is being denied by the Labor Party. But not just tax cuts are the Labor Party denying for small business. They're also proposing more regulation, and there's no better example than what they did to ruin the livelihoods of 50,000 owner-operator truck drivers, small businesses themselves, and they want to bring back that Road Safety Remuneration Tribunal, which the Parliament abolished just before going into caretaker mode. And on top of that, Labor opposes our important changes to Section 46 in terms of the competition law, which is all designed to help small business and suppliers to the big duopolies, for example, Coles and Woolworths. So why the Labor Party has regressed so much under Bill Shorten, Laura, is because it's motivated by what's in the best interests of the unions and how to build union membership. And that's coming at the expense of small business, unfortunately.
And what do you think about Rob Oakeshott perhaps coming back to the federal parliament?
Well, I think the transcribers in Parliament better get their hands ready, because that guy doesn't know a short statement if it's given to him, and I don't think Rob will win. I think Luke will get back. Luke Hudsock, he's a great member of Parliament. He's been a minister. He's an important member of the National Party and the Coalition, and it's a pity that Rob is trying again. He should have left the Parliament with good grace previously, and that be the end of it.
Well, we will see. Perhaps he's sniffing the breeze, sensing that there could in fact be a hung Parliament. But Josh Frydenberg, in the spirit of it being Friday, this is an absolute free kick for you. But I've got to ask, what is going on in Victoria? Is Daniel Andrews going to last the year?
Well, I hope not, because I think if he doesn't, then that will just accelerate a change to Matthew Guy as the next Premier of Victoria. But Daniel Andrews has presided over a shambolic period here in Victoria, and this move by the Metropolitan Fire Brigade and by the Andrews government to take over effectively the 60,000 volunteers and the Country Fire Authority has been a disgrace. And again, it's been motivated by what is best for the union membership, not what is best for the safety and the interests of people who live in regional Australia. And Bill Shorten has refused to get involved. He's refused to say to the Labor Party, this is a retrograde step. He's refused to stand side by side, as Malcolm Turnbull has done, with these 60,000 volunteers. And it just shows you, if Labor is in control, they will side with their union mates ahead of the best interests of the overall economy and the overall interests of our country.
Resources Minister Josh Frydenberg, thanks very much for joining us from Melbourne this afternoon.
Nice to be with you.
And a quick break here on The Latest. We'll be back with the rest of the day's news.